ある条件を満たして12歳まで生き残った女子には出荷時2つの道が示される。このまま死ぬかママを目指すか。
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Me, Oscar, and Jerry are here today to talk about The Promised Neverland, one of the top tier at the time Shonen Jump series. Last time I talked about it was 3 years ago, and I went back to see what chapters I was reading, and this was even before they escaped from the house, or from the farm, excuse me. So
it took them 27 chapters to get out of the house, right? I think if I remember correctly, 27 chapters, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, the reason we're coming back to talk about this is because it just ended last week. I got some mixed feelings on that, man. It's a weird ending, man. But we haven't got your thoughts yet on the series, guys. So Oscar, Jerry, what are you guys feeling for The Promised Neverland when you first read it?
My immediate thought when I read the ending and all this other stuff, I had somewhat of a weird thought where I thought if we took this story the exact same way it started to the exact same way it ended, and if let's say it was released side by side around the time The Last of Us came out, I think that series overall would have been a lot more popular than what it is kind of right now. And the reason why I say that is because not just alongside some kind of similarities that you can see when it comes to survival and struggle and all this other stuff with The Last of Us, but more or less it's the mindset that that they had for creating the series is so unique. I feel I had not ever considered a kind of story where I would be interested in seeing how it would play out if we were food.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool and unique. One other thing I think I would want to talk about regarding how I felt about it overall is very loose with the time settings, the time frames that they give you. At first it seems really pertinent. It seems very important. Everything has to be done in a certain specific amount of time. Things are needing to meet specific quotas and schedules. That shit really kind of flies right out the window. I feel a part of the important aspects of those events felt lackluster when they came to pass, only because it was all right, well, when we discussed this the first time and you were talking about how important it was and how little time that you have to do it, and all these people are chasing you and doing other shit, and you're not only are you learning how to survive, you're also teaching yourself and educating yourself, and all of that has to reflect over periods of time. Otherwise, we're not going to take a good opportunity to notice and really build up on that kind of thing. You had a good setup, and then you kind of dropped the ball, is how I feel.
There you go. That's how I feel.
Reading it for a while, even after, they leave the farm, after Goldie Pond, and it's you can only go so crazy with this stuff for so long.
Dude, it got all Bloodborne on us, bro, and I was so excited for what was going to happen, man.
Yeah.
There was so much potential, dude.
Yeah, and I was really liking it. I still think the peak is probably Goldie Pond or somewhere along after that. What's his name? Hugo, right? The first adult that they meet. When he starts coming around and teaming up with the kids, and then when they meet Lucas and all the other kids at Goldie Pond. I still think one of my hypest chapters was when Lucas and Hugo went out there, grabbed all the military gear and fought back against the Rattree clan.
Yeah, that was really good. That was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, that's when I was oh, the writing could still be serious, but we're going into different scenarios of rather than just we have to escape from these demons that will eat us, or we have to go over here and just try to figure out something else. But yeah, along the way, just the storyline's just not being consistent, like you were saying, Oscar, and just, I don't know, it just lost itself along the way. It got, the ambition is just gone at a certain point, and it's just disappointing to see it go the route it did at the end of it all.
The formula changed a lot, is the way I would see it. Another thing that I didn't really like, it's just, I would say, in the grand scheme of things, especially with the way it ended, it was a very minor point, but I still feel it needs to be brought. So towards the end of the series, character comes back, and it was a villain, previously mentioned. So I'm a little bit about what you guys were just saying. I'm going to assume from the both of you that Goldie Pond is both of your favorite parts.
Yeah, it's
out of the notable arcs that happens, yeah, that one stands out a lot.
Right. I'm definitely going to agree with you on that one, because out of everything that happened, Goldie Pond is exactly what I was looking forward to. I remember the last time that we were all discussing it around the time that it was still coming out, and like they were still kind of like belting out chapters for it, we were all like super ready. Oh shit, what's gonna happen? My kids are gonna fucking die.
Yeah, dude, that's it. That was it. That's pretty much like the big factor that kept me going was like, when are these kids gonna fucking die, dude?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're going through all this shit, dude. It's, oh my god, like the first few chapters, man, when they barely got out. Oh, jeez, man, this just took me through a fucking left turn, man. When you saw fucking who was it? Connie?
Yeah,
just
Connie.
fucking just dead right there on the. That shit was crazy, straight out of like a horror manga. And somewhere along the way, it turned to like survival, and I'm like, that's cool, I get it, but there's only so much you could do.
Not even survival, but just really the tone and what really like kind of pushed me away from the series was when Emma decided like, wait, but we can't kill all the demons. We have to save everybody. There has to be a happy ending for everybody.
It got really political.
Yeah.
It got political. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, you want to be a conscientious objector. That's fine, and I get it. But you still shot a gun. I mean, you can't say one thing and then do something else. But she did it anyway, because obviously she's just the main character, and that's just the way that they wanted the story to go. I'm gonna double down on that shit, because I think that there's no bearings in being political, especially when you were going to involve demons, which is like a whole like a mystical thing to begin with. Like, all of a sudden we're supposed to have rationality and establish, boundaries and rules, like how the old people did, back when the two worlds were created, so they're still keeping in line that it's just like, you're savages, but you still have sense, or common sense. Compromises can be reached. It can't just be black or white. You know what I'm saying? They really tried to get, or at least expose, the complexities of relationships and aggressions between two obviously conflicting sides. But all the same, I still really feel like it shouldn't have really had to have gone down that path, especially because they had a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things with the main mystery of the series, which was the seven walls. They could have made the whole like allure of the seven walls and the promise, and the demon. They have the little symbols on there, but nobody knows how to pronounce it or say his name. Other than, I don't even know if they're even gonna have a pronunciation in the series, because I already know it's animated.
Yeah, I think they already got to that point in the anime.
From at least my own point, they're expressing what it would be like to be passive, to be peaceful. Something that can be established in a realm where no one thought possible, and then take it in that direction. It didn't have to be rated E like that, though. I mean, like, you had a really good build up for something that no one would dare try to touch on.
So like you said, Oscar, the kids are food. It's pretty dark, right? The first chapter, striking way to start off the show, or the series anyway. And then somewhere along the line, it sort of just loses that darkness. At least that's how it felt for me. Like, once things started turning into a more like, oh, we need a happy ending type of route, things started getting less drastic. I mean, the fights were still kind of cool, especially when they fought the queen. Like, it was still pretty intense stuff, but it's just there wasn't enough deaths for me, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, I felt like there should have been a lot more deaths in this kind of series, because that's what the tone was, and that's what we were getting at certain points, but
a lot more kid deaths, I would say, specifically, because there were a lot of like demon deaths and stuff like that, but that's to be expected.
Yeah, that doesn't really count, because it's like we're already used to that. That's easy to do within a manga magazine, but since this started off strong, it should continue to stay strong. And like I said in the first episode I did for this, was big surprise to see Shonen Jump push something like this. I know they like to stray away from normal shonen stuff to try to get new interesting stories out there, but this one was so out of the park, so different from what you would normally see. And, because this could easily be like a seinen manga rather than a shonen. It's Jump, so of course it gets the popularity it gets. This could easily be a seinen manga. Honestly, I think it would have worked better if this was in a different type of magazine. Like, if it wasn't part of Weekly Jump, but like Ultra Jump, I guess, would be the best route for this story. So that way they could just keep that same level, rather than just slowly becoming more shonen-like, I guess, but for the wrong reasons. And you could definitely feel that in the last arc here. And I'm not gonna lie, like the I think it was chapter 180, right? The chapter before this, where we have Emma losing her memory, living with this old man, and like it looks like Russia or something, you know. And then the last panel of that page was Ray and the other girl with glasses looking around, and I was like, oh no, are we starting a new arc? No, just end it, bro, please.
Ray and kill the. No, that's what I thought too, dude.
Yeah.
Like when they were just looking for her, I thought it was just gonna be one big hunt, and then they were gonna have to find her or something. But no. Happily ever after. You find her. Yeah, no, I don't remember you guys. Do you want to live together? Sure. The fuck was that, dude? I'm so mad.
One of the most disappointing endings I've read in a good while for a manga.
It had so much going for it too. Man.
Yeah, because you know what's crazy? The thing about bad endings is it's always like, oh, it got rushed, right? But all the chapters leading up to this didn't feel rushed. Only this chapter felt so rushed.
Yeah, there goes another good manga, dude.
You know, looking back on it now, I wanted this to be gritty because I wanted this to be for me. Because I wanted it, you know, to be more adult-like. I wanted it to be gritty, and I wanted it to not be so, like, political, where it's just kind of, like, tiptoeing and, like, stepping around the things just so that way it can come to this sort of resolution. I think earlier to what you were saying, like, Shonen wants something different, but at the same time, I feel like they knew it was going to come full circle to that ending. That's what they do. So, like, they want different, but they don't want to stray away from the formula, because the formula works for their audience, middle schoolers and stuff like that. I mean, like, there's adults that still read manga. It sucks, man. I really wish, like, if this was, like I said, if this was probably, like, released back, like, alongside, like, The Last of Us, it probably would have had a different ending. A lot of people would have taken that as an opportunity to see, like, oh, like, this is going to be a thing. Like, survival, dystopianism, like, this kind of series right here, this is going to be a thing. Like, I hope that at least somebody takes, you know, influences from the Promised Neverland and can, like, appropriately place that in their own sort of visualization for what they wanted in a story similar to that situation, and then have it pursue adult scenario. It's not always going to be a happy ending. There's not always going to be people who just are going to be okay with not killing each other in fucking magical cursed blood. That means that you don't have to fucking eat anything or never be hungry again for the rest of your life. Those are all just cop-outs. That's what they are.
Yeah, but again, I think that really has to play into the fact that it's shonen, not seinen type of deal.
I really like the queen.
Yeah, she was pretty solid.
The demon queen was really cool. That was a really good fight. It kept me fucking two-faced bosses, man.
Yeah, and then especially when the other, I forget his name, the demon that's walking around with the little demon that doesn't have to eat human meat or human brains or whatever. When he showed up and it's like, oh, he's like the brother and all that, I was like, oh, this is getting interesting, you know, with that stuff. Like, there was still interesting stuff happening at the end, but...
Are you talking about, like, Sonja?
Yeah.
One other thing that I didn't like, I mentioned it to you earlier, is basically when the Count comes back, you know, like, that character, right, you know? They didn't necessarily have to bring him back, but they did because it's a lot easier for you to close plot holes that way. Musica and Sonja all of a sudden now being, like, this close to being executed, it's like, oh no, what's going to happen? You know, like, they were just supposed to shed blood, and, you know, like, now the thing is going to continue, and it's like, oh, wait, motherfucker Count, who is actually alive, because if you go back 10 chapters and you see the fight with his sister, and his sister has more than one core, then why shouldn't he have more than one core? And then all of a sudden he's like, I never wouldn't have imagined that I had a second core. You know, he didn't even know it himself. That's a cop-out. That's some bullshit right there.
Yeah, like all that high escalation stuff of the execution. It's just like, wait, here comes one character. Yeah, that's over. Also, we're changing this, and everybody is super cool with it. It's just...
Who would you say your favorite character is?
Out of, like, the kids, I think probably Ray. Like, Norman got interesting when he showed back up, and he looked a lot older. But then I was like, he's all right. But definitely also, I think Yugo is one of my favorites.
My boy Phil, dude, holding it down at Grace Field while the rest is out there adventuring.
That little dude had like 5 years to hold it down.
Straight up.
Emma was like, I'm gonna come back for you in a half a year. My favorite character was Aisha. I don't know if you guys remember her, but she was the one with the wolves.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, dude. Her story was great.
That's exactly why she's my favorite character. Because I was like, oh look, you have the exception. You have somebody who was raised by demons from the jump and was just like, oh yeah, we're cool. Who's your worst character?
Man,
I don't know.
Damn, dude. Can I add somebody else on my favorite list of favorites? Fucking Adam. Big boy Adam, dude.
Dude, honestly, like I liked what they were doing with him, and it just never went anywhere.
Him and then the specialist team, Zazzy, that's the name. The one with the bag and the swords.
Yeah, the bag over his head and stuff.
Oh yeah, the Guilty Gear guy. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
I forgot. Did any of them die? They all lived though, right?
Oh
no,
yeah,
I
they
don't
all
think the
lived.
girl did. Did the girl? They all lived? Man.
Yeah,
Some
I
fairy
think
tale
they
shit,
did.
dude.
Because I was like, I know they were fighting the queen, and I would remember like, I like, you know, as she's dying, she's like basically like overgrowthing, you know, and like all of like the faces from the people she consumes comes out and stuff like that, and that's when they see like what is it, that black girl, right? The one that replaces mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was in there. And when that happened, I was like, "Yo, no way, dude! Like that's a good way to tie her back
Yeah,
in."
see shit like that, that's gritty, bro. That's great. I love when they do shit like that. And it's just like, you know, like you got to see the demise of people, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like it reminds you, this is not a good story. Like this is not, you know, supposed to be sunshine and happiness. Like remember where you're at. You're food right now.
You know what? I know who my least favorite character is now. Peter Ratry. Ratry?
Oh, yeah, Peter, dude. Fuck that dude.
Yeah.
Ratari?
Yeah, Ratry.
Ratry? I guess Ratry, right?
Peter Rat.
Yeah, let's just go with that. The Rat King. When he showed up, I was fine with him, but then as we got towards the end with all his desperation and stuff, he just didn't match the build-up that we were getting the entire time.
I don't know, man. Yeah, he's definitely up there on the list. Lewis was a really good one. I really liked him as a fucking anti-hero.
I liked him I think he's my favorite antagonist. I think because he's obviously the best written one.
He's like the lawful evil.
Yeah, like, because honestly, his fight with Emma was really great, and just with his dialogue and his excitement, really added so much to it.
Now that the story's over, I'm gonna say Emma.
I knew it, yeah. I was thinking that too.
Wow, bro, really? Oh my god.
Honestly, I was kind of thinking it too.
Oh yeah, Emma's like she had a lot of potential, but one thing that I don't like about her is she's very whimsical. Like she had a very, very real, super optimistic view of everything, always.
Yeah, I feel it.
She has a lot of charisma. Norman would have taken her place. Like Norman would have been the worst one for me, only because the way that they had set him up, they were gonna make him look like he was like gonna fuck over everybody, you know, or like some shit had happened to him while he was in Lambda, and like he got all sorts of evil scrambled into his brains, and it didn't end up panning out that way. You know, he still ended up being a good guy, and it's like no matter how many times Emma gets fucked over, or Emma, you know, comes into seeing people in the perspective and mindsets and like how different it is from their own, it doesn't faze her. Like she's still optimistic, and it's just like you're not really developing a character here. You just remind me of like a fucking Goku, because he's super dumb to the point where anytime like somebody tries to say some shit to him, like to get him to understand a different mindset, he's like, no, but who cares? We could just fight. Let's just fight. Come on.
Honestly, that Goku person is spot on, because Goku only gets dumb after during Super. Basically, he's super dumb in there, and that's what I really hate about Dragon Ball Super, is that he's not who he was during like the Frieza arc, the Cell arc, even parts of the Buu saga. You know, Emma was real. You know, she was great in the beginning, but like you're saying, yeah, that whimsicalness just degrades her character a lot. And again, like the fact that she was like, I don't want anybody to die in this war. You know, there has to be another answer. Just that desperation she has for it. I'm like, it's just not what I need for this gritty manga, is this last ray of hope of sunshine that is going to prevail at the end. If her plan failed and she had to accept some sort of middle ground between not killing the demons and then, you know, having to kill the demons, if she had to pick a middle ground, I think it would have been a lot better.
I think it's fair to say that they did end up killing demons, just not demons with personalities.
Oh yeah, because they don't count.
Animal demons, the more savage demons.
Did you guys like that whole thing with Norman and the rest of the Lambda group having like that short lifespan because of all of the tests and stuff? Do you like that little thing they threw in there?
Yes, until like the last chapter. The last chapter kind of made it sound like they fixed that problem.
Yeah, they did. They're like, oh yeah, we've had all sorts of doctors and stuff like that. But they said it was because of Adam, like Adam and his blood and stuff like that. So like they took him to like the proper facilities and stuff like that, and they were able to I don't know if it's kind of like a herpes cocktail thing where they like give him like a whole bunch of stuff every day, or if he's just gonna be like one quick little to the arm and there you go, you're fixed forever.
And I don't know about you guys, but for the end of this manga, I did not want to see the human world.
I didn't either.
The epilogue should have been in the demon world. What was the
Yes.
point? What was the
Yeah.
point of like the last 3 or 4 chapters with Musica and Sanja? Like, why did the count need to come back and like have a resolution to all this shit for the future of the demon world? They made it a point to show us the human world and the way that everything came along into the year 2047 and all this other stupid shit. And you know, like, oh, great, we're under one nation now, and there are no wars, and everyone. And the way that they were putting it, they're like, they fucked themselves over so bad. They didn't have a choice but to kind of get their shit together at one time. Otherwise, that was going to be it. When I heard that, the person that came to me was like, "Did you really make a good choice then?" Because it sounds like the demon world would have been a lot better. Like, at least you didn't have pollution and shit. Like, at least the world wasn't coming apart. You know, like you would have been the staple humans really to like establish a new kind of whole species of humans living alongside of demons. I mean, I even think there was a chapter or two where they actually say that as a possibility. They're like, oh, well, if the promise doesn't work out, then we can just stay here. You know, we already have a great relationship with Musica, and she's going to be the queen and all that. You know, we can just do this. Like, this is also a good alternative. And I think if I really have to go back, I think even Emma is the one who says that. You know, like, we can look elsewhere. That's how optimistic she was. I fucking hate her.
Other than all that stuff, I know when the anime dropped, I heard they wrote the story a little better. Like the foreshadow stuff was a lot more paced out and all that. I don't know if you heard about this, Oscar. We talked about it on the main show this week, but Amazon is going to be doing a live action series for Promised Neverland.
That's
I mean, it'll probably work.
Yeah, I could see it working.
But like I said on the main show, just stop at Goldie Pond. You don't really have to go further than that.
I'm not gonna hold my breath or anything like that. I think it'll probably be as successful as like the fucking Bleach movie on Netflix, which is a pretty good movie. I liked it.
Is it worth your time? Maybe. I mean, definitely the good parts. I think you should read, but
I would say if you're gonna check it out, read it all the way up until they defeat the queen, and then that's it. Just let your imagination do the rest. Because I promise you, it'll be better than actually reading the rest of those chapters.
yeah,
I mean, I did when I was always looking forward to the next week, and I'm like, oh wow.
just let your imagination fill in the rest. Yeah. So I think with that, man, it's safe to say we can wrap up this episode. So thanks for sticking around, guys. Did you check out Promised Neverland? What did you think of the ending? We'd love to hear your thoughts. And you could send us that email over to unversepodcast@gmail.com, and then we could bring it up on the next episode. And then you could follow us on social media at Unverse Podcast, let you know when the latest episodes drop. So again, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Gator Cat.